Cooking on a Saturday night in Baton Rouge. LSU winners of 5 straight, defenders of the SEC title, face South Carolina, rapidly improving, and a team that has won 4 straight. SEC football under the lights. Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Hullinger along with Todd Christensen. These are 2 football programs that have some quarterback issues, but 2 head coaches certainly able to deal with it. For Lou Holtz, it's his first trip with South Carolina here to LSU in Baton Rouge.
Well, it's interesting that I think that Lou Holtz, one of the reasons that he took over the program in his 60s was for games like this. He loves being the underdog. He loves playing that role and getting his team excited. You can see right there, amazing what he has done in his career. His quarterback, Corey Jenkins, has to have a great game. Their leading rusher and passer coming into this game, the 26-year-old former first-round pick of the Boston Red Sox, has to play well this evening.
Well, the LSU defense is ranked #1 in the nation. They are nicknamed the James Gang, and falling behind is something South Carolina can ill afford to do tonight.
They can't, simply because of the fact that they've been smothering. You see the statistic there with regards to the yards allowed. The secondary has been all over the field. The front 7 has been tough. South Carolina has to get off to a good start.
Don, what do you like about this defense for LSU? It is a defense not only that's quick, but certainly they have a lot of anticipation, but they do some other things very well, too.
One of the things that I like is you see right there, Nick Saban. That gives you an extra defensive coordinator as a head coach. They prepare extremely well. They are not going to be fooled. If you're going to defeat LSU, you have to do it through execution, not through trickery.
Nick Saban has had a terrific stay here at LSU since leaving Michigan State, the former defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. And life just gets better and better for him in Bayou Country. LSU has won the toss, and they will defer. So South Carolina will get the football first tonight. The weather, the humidity is as you would figure that it would be in Louisiana this time of year. There is a chance of rain. About an hour and a half ago, it rained for about 10 or 15 minutes. It stopped, and then it started again. And I would anticipate, even though I'm not a weatherman, that will probably be the case all evening long.
Well, I wish I had those 10 degrees earlier in the day when I ran on this beautiful, beautiful Mondo track out here at LSU. 80 degrees, about 80% humidity, man. It was tough.
It's a little different than what we experienced in Colorado Springs
Yes,
a week ago in the early 30s, high 20s. A different saga tonight as LSU gets ready to kick off. John Corbello will be kicking off, and Matthew Thomas is the middleman for South Carolina. He is deep, and we are underway in Baton Rouge. Glad to have you along on this Saturday night. It is high, and it is deep, and South Carolina will get the football first, and they'll get it at the 20-yard line. Let's go to Stacy Pates, and as Stacy can tell you, there are some quarterback issues to deal with tonight, but some that will be worth watching.
That's exactly right, Jeff. It's a crucial blow for the Tigers. Matt Mock, the starting quarterback, is out with a torn ligament in his right foot. He might have to have surgery, which means that would be the end of his season. Well, look for Mock to have his predecessor, maybe Marcus Randall. They were actually neck and neck in spring camp before he suffered an injury of his own. This is the first start for Randall, but he's entered 4 games. The Tigers are definitely having confidence in him tonight.
On first down, the pitch is to Ryan Brewer, Mr. Outback Bowl, and he picks up 3. It'll bring up 2nd and 7. LSU and South Carolina meet for only the 16th time. Lou Holtz demanding on his quarterbacks. Corey Jenkins, good arm, good runner. He's 26, as we mentioned. If he struggles, then we'll see Pankin step in, so some extra pressure on him tonight.
Big play man is Troy Williamson, number 82. Last week, 3 catches for over 100 yards, a 10.35 100-meter man in high school.
2nd and 7 from the 23. 5 receivers, 3 to the near side, 2 to the far side, shotgun formation. Jenkins throws, and it is complete. Ryan Brewer makes the grab across the 25. It's a pickup of 4 yards. Skip Holtz, the offensive coordinator, says this is where it all begins. Maybe the best biggins of the Holtz era. Watch out for Wharton, the best ever to play his position at South Carolina. Shane Hall is fine, too.
And on the other side, not necessarily big pass rushers, but they are solid people. Look for Kendrick Allen to have a big game in the interior, helping to prevent against the run.
All right, 3rd and 4 for South Carolina here. Opening drive from Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I formation. He'll keep the ball. And across the 30, he should have enough for the first down. Tackle by Brady James. It's a gain of 5 yards. The linebackers, these guys are awesome. Brady James, 76 tackles now through 6 games. The namesake of the James gang, Captain Courageous, talking to him yesterday. You know, I told him he sounded more like a coach than a player.
And on the corner, Demetrius Hoofkin is an outstanding cover man. He has had 14 passes blocked thus far.
This is the 3rd time these teams have met since South Carolina joined the SEC 10 years ago. LSU leads the all-time series 8-1 in Baton Rouge. It's 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Here comes the blitz. Jenkins short hops the ball to Thez Robinson. It is incomplete, and it'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Interesting with regards to Jenkins, Lou Holtz pointed out to us that if he had his way, he talks about back in the late 60s when he was coaching at Ohio State, he coached Jack Tatum. He said that Corey Jenkins could be that kind of player. He would be a stud as a strong safety, but he said we got to play him at quarterback because he's our best athlete.
Penalty marker here. And it'll go against South Carolina.
Evidently, they didn't get the play off in time, and that's the responsibility of Jenkins. I mentioned early on the fact that he's 26 years of age, having played minor league baseball like so many others. Quincy Carter comes to mind. His maturity is going to be crucial for South Carolina tonight with these 91,000 screaming fans.
1st and 15. Shotgun. He'll keep it straight up the middle and get to the 30-yard line. It's a gain of about 4 yards. Tackled by Marcus Spears. Yeah, Jenkins had a $575,000 bonus from the Red Sox organization. Pretty tough to walk away from that. And like Kelly Washington, who plays at Tennessee, maybe the baseball thing is not a perfect fit for him and consequently comes back as an older player trying to get it done in the SEC.
The physicality that makes you so dominant in high school in baseball does not work at the minor league level. Just because you're 6'2", 220 can hit at 600 feet doesn't mean you can play baseball.
And there are no curveballs on Saturday nights in Baton Rouge. Out of the shotgun, the pitch. It is to Ryan Brewer. And Brewer not faking many out. It is a gain of 5 up to the 35.
Well, this is the one thing that South Carolina does not want to get into too frequently, and that's the 3rd and long, 3rd and 6. The defense, as you can see by the numbers, has been tremendous, and there is no weakness in the defense. I found it interesting that when talking with offensive coordinator Skip Holtz, I said, what's the weakness that you need to attack? And he laughed at me and said, what do you mean weakness? I said, we have to execute. There is no weakness.
See that 10-5 scoring average. Only Virginia Tech is above them. Very close. 3rd and 6. 5 receivers. 3 to the right. 2 to the left. Shotgun with time. And almost intercepted. Almost picked off by Davian James. And it's incomplete.
This is exactly what LSU wants, and that is that they want to put it in a position to where Jenkins beats him with his arm, but they're going to get it back as a result of a defensive pass interference. And clearly the partisan crowd doesn't agree with that.
So it goes against LSU. We talked about it at the outset of the broadcast as Steve Landis is our referee tonight. It is so critical for South Carolina to come out of the chutes quickly to try and get something going against this defense tonight, Todd. You don't want to find yourself in a hole.
You don't, but it's Norman Lejeune, number 36, right here. That's the holding. You can see right there. He has his hands on the jersey of number 7. And that's Michael Aegis.
1st and 10. Trying to set up the screen. No way. Andrew Pinnock, the 255-pounder, met by Corey Webster. And it's a loss of 4. Webster, the hero from last week against Florida when he had 3 interceptions, including a 45-yarder for a touchdown.
So many times you see a defensive back like Webster, and he gets the 3 picks, but he proves there that he can also come up and make a hit. Webster, the last 2 seasons with the Tigers, was a wide receiver. Decided in spring maybe I should give this defensive back stuff a try, and SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Not bad.
2nd and 15 from the 39-yard line. Shotgun again for Corey Jenkins and the Gamecocks. With time going long, man out there. Catch is made! It is made, and it is touchdown! Troy Williamson from Aiken, South Carolina. A 61-yard touchdown strike from Corey Jenkins.
And last week against Kentucky, he had a 59-yarder that broke the game open. And I have to tell you something right here. I know that Jenkins may not be a great passer, but this throw is right on the money. As we mentioned, the 10-3 speedster, look at this, catches him right in stride, and nobody is going to catch him 2 times two-time state winner of the 100 meters and 200 meters in South Carolina.
And working against Corey Webster. That'll take a little steam out of the LSU defense on this opening set. Daniel Weaver, the point after attempt, and it is good.
One of the things that when I was a player, we had a fellow named Cliff Branch, and they used to say speed kills. Well, that's something that you can't teach. And number 82 delivers right on the money. 61 bomb. The crowd is stunned.
Stroll begin for Lou Holtz. The long walk toward the end of the game starts the right way.
Webster didn't chuck him at all. He completely underestimated his speed, and as we have said early on, in my case, ad nauseum, how fast that young man is. You have to, if you're going to come up and press coverage, you got to bump him a little bit. You cannot give him that outside. What a good-looking young man he is, and I'm talking about as a football player. Of course, he is handsome too. But 6'2", 195. Wow.
What a great drive. Joey Bowers, the kickoff, and Dominic Davis. Watch out for this man. The nation's leader, penalty marker, goes flying at the 23-yard line. It may be coming back. A return of 35 yards by Davis. Tackled by Jonathan Martin. And it's a hold. It'll go against LSU. Let's go to Matt Weiner right now at our studio.
There's not much. Hi, Texas and Kansas State. Longhorns bouncing back from the loss last year. Chris Sims just lobs it up for 6'1" B.J. Johnson against the shorter man. He makes the play. Kansas State has come back. It's now 7-6.
Jeff, fair or unfair with regards to Chris Sims, the big game label? What do you think?
Well, I think when you play the quarterback position, like it or not, you are judged by your ability to make big plays in big games. Think about all the quarterbacks, Jim Plunkett. Think about what he did with the Raiders as far as big plays go. I mean, you can go on and on. 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line for LSU to begin their offensive series, and here is the handoff. Across the 15 is Dominic Davis. It's a pickup of 3, 2nd and 7. Marcus Randall is from Baton Rouge. He replaces the injured Matt Mock. He's played in 4 games. Smart, honor student in high school, student body president, brother quarterback at Southern, and now a high school coach in the area. Just don't turn it over.
Think about Dominic Davis. He's going to be busy. He returns punts, returns kickoffs. He's amazing in terms of total offense, but they have to be concerned over the fact that he might wear down as the game progresses.
2nd and 6. Rolling, looking, firing, and completing. The catch is made. Jarrell Myers making the grab at the 43-yard line. It's a gain of 27 yards and enough for a first down. Tackled by Robinson. LSU's offensive line has improved rapidly. 249 rushing yards on Florida. Watch the sophomore Ben Wilkerson, the center. He matches up with Langston Moore.
That's exactly right. That is going to be a key. If they can block Langston Moore, then LSU is going to win this ball game. If number 57 starts causing problems in the backfield, you got to like South Carolina's chances.
1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. Here is the give straight up to Dominic Davis. And Davis is able to pick up about 6 yards. It'll bring up 2nd and 4. Tackled by Muhammad. Gamecocks have really evolved into a terrific defense. Fun to watch. George Gauze sometimes lines up as a defensive end. And maybe they're a little bit suspect at the cornerback slot.
Dante Robinson, however, that is true, but Dante Robinson over the last 2 weeks has had 3 picks, so he's ready to go.
We're up in the shadow of Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. 2nd and 4, and the give over the right guard. Plenty of room for Dominic Davis now in South Carolina territory. It's a gain of 4 and very close to a first down. I think he may have it. Tackled by Mo Thompson.
Well, Marcus Randall, they kept saying that he's not going to be affected by this because in spring football, you see 5 of 9 on the season. In spring football, he was neck and neck with Mock, and then he just faded back to pass in the spring game, and his leg gave out from under him, and he had to have ACL surgery. He's just now getting back to where he's 100%, but they feel that he has the athleticism for the position.
Davis 3rd in LSU history in all-purpose yards, 4,600 plus, and he gets the call again. And again, picking and choosing, trying to find a little bit of room. And at South Carolina defense, it's a pickup of 5. And there's George Gauze to bring him down.
Well, Dominic Davis has put up some impressive numbers. The one that stands out to me is the 19 yards per punt return. But you can see that 3rd all-time, 9th in the nation in all-purpose yards. With the injury to LeBrandon Toefield, the onus of the offense has really fallen squarely upon his shoulders.
He was also the Sugar Bowl MVP against Illinois. 2nd and 6 from the 43. In I formation. Clayton in motion. And here is the handoff and the yardage. Reaching out is Dominic Davis inside the 30 up to the 28, a gain of 14. Taqi Muhammad is there, the right cornerback for South Carolina. We are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Number 12 LSU taking on South Carolina. The Gamecocks on the board very early. The 61-yard touchdown up top to Troy Williamson from Corey Jenkins. But LSU has something going on this offensive possession in an effort to try and match the Gamecocks here on their opening drive. Upcoming the 7th play of the drive. In motion, Michael Clayton to the top of your screen. And Davis again, the workhorse in this drive, up to about the 26. Jameisha Jackson on the stop for South Carolina.
I'm really surprised at South Carolina for this reason, and that is I would have thought that they would be jamming the box at this point, and that man would be making some plays more. I say that simply because of the fact you get a chance to watch number 57, how quick he is as a nose guard. Nice swim move, and he creates the problems in the backfield. Davis still able to get some yardage out of that. Boy, that is some quickness for a nose tackle. He has 7.5 tackles for loss already. That's unheard of for an inside defensive lineman.
Davis is out. Joseph Adai is in. 2nd and 8 from the 27. And no good. Incomplete. Dennis Quinn, the left end, I believe, got his hand on the football.
Furthering the point that I was making is with regards to Randall, I'm just surprised that the Gamecocks aren't pressuring him and coming up. I'm surprised at how many yards Davis has been able to get, because you know that's who they have to ride. You know, because if Randall's got to throw 35, 40 times a game, that's not going to bode well for the Tigers.
LSU is 11-1 in its last 12 games. And 5-1 for the first time since 1997. All right, 3rd and 8. Shotgun formation. Here they come. Gets rid of the football. It's complete at the 25-yard line to Eric Edwards. It's a gain of 3. And Faison is there. Rashad Faison, the free safety, and that will bring up 4th down.
They came with all 7, and of course, as a young quarterback, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to go to your hot route. You go to the outside. You're going to see 7 bodies coming in. He goes out to the outside. It was defensed perfectly by South Carolina. Here's the quick throw, because that's what he's supposed to do, but they tackle him short, and as a result, a field goal is pending.
John Corbello, a 42-yard attempt. Here's the kick. It is long enough, and it is good. So LSU gets some points out of their opening drive to answer South Carolina. Nick Saban's crew 4 points behind South Carolina, 7-3.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday Night. Brought to you by the all-new 200 horsepower Acura RSX Type S.
Back in Baton Rouge, 7-3 Gamecocks lead. I find it curious they take out Dominic Davis, who had 6 carries for 34 yards on the drive, and then they go through the air and they stall.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I think you're trying to be a little bit too clever, and maybe Jimbo Fisher in that case was.
The kickoff is high, and it is short, and is returned by Fez Robinson. Robinson with some running room. And spun down at the 23-yard line, penalty marker at the 22.
That's going to happen when you're running so far east and west.
Look at Lou Holtz, the 1959 graduate from Kent State. 31st season as a head coach. Smokes a pipe, doesn't exercise, eats ice cream and potato chips. 65 years of age, and says he will not retire anytime soon.
Let me make a point there. Let me amend one of the points you just made. He doesn't exercise. We have somebody that's documenting the yardage he's going to cover tonight, walking back and forth. And so at the end of the respective quarters, we'll see how much exercise he's actually put out.
Could be one of those Olympic race walkers maybe in a few years. Just doesn't stop. Crowd coming to life here in LSU. Not that they ever lost any of that life to begin with. 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line for Corey Jenkins in the South Carolina offense. The option, Jenkins keeps it, turns it up, and pushed back at the 17 by Damian James, a pickup of 5. Let's go to Matt Weiner right now.
Jeff, Auburn trailing at Florida, 14-0 game. Handoff to Ronnie Brown. He'll go 26 yards for the touchdown. Brown in the game because Cadillac Williams left it with a broken fibula. No prognosis yet, but surgery is necessary. Florida up by 10 right now.
Boy, that is horrible to hear. We had Cadillac in Auburn against Syracuse, over 200 yards, including the game winner, a very special running back. Hate hearing that. On 2nd and 4, Andrew Pennick, the big man, blasting his way across the 30 and down to the 31-yard line. A pickup of 14. First down, tackle by Randall Gay.
Coming into this game, we talked about the LSU defense and how effective they were, giving up only 2.6 yards per rush. If number 4 can get going, the 255-pounder, that's going to be a problem. He puts the defensive end under the pressure of having to go with both the quarterback or the runner. That's Marquise Hill. He makes the wrong decision. Result, a big game for the Gamecocks.
He had a shoulder injury in preseason camp. He reminds me a little of T.J. Duckett, the former Michigan State star, now of the Atlanta Falcons. On first down, the give is to Pennick, and Pennick right side up to the 37 or so. It's a pickup of 4. Brayden James on the hit. Tonight at 10 o'clock on ESPN, Tyrone Willingham's rejuvenated Notre Dame Fighting Irish look to keep its national title hopes alive as they take on Chance Harridge and Air Force in Colorado Springs in a battle of unbeatens. College football Saturday, brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN.
All right, homeboy, who do you like?
I like Air Force. We had Air Force last week. I thought they were as strong of an offensive team as we've seen this year.
And you see by those last 2 meetings, Air Force always plays Notre Dame tough.
And the game at 7,000 feet. 2nd and 6 from the 35. Jenkins, plenty of time. Now flushed out of the pocket. He'll keep it. And comes up to the 38-yard line. Maybe a gain of 4. Marcus Spears is there. I think they're going to give him 3.
This is the problem that Jenkins poses. Brady James, their star, for whom the defense is named, said that part of the problem with this young man right here is that he's just a 3rd running back. That's what he is. And so unlike some quarterbacks that you don't particularly fear when they scramble out of the pocket, number 9 is a physical player that can get downfield and make plays happen. That was great coverage, and still they're able to come up with 4 or 5 yards.
Look at Corey Jenkins on the season. He has had some turnover problems to deal with. A little bit of pressure on his shoulders. Lou Holtz always tough on his quarterbacks. Draw play for the quarterback, nothing. No gain. Randall Gay, the left quarterback, 5'11", 175, the junior out of Brusley, Louisiana, making the 2nd tackle of the ball game.
This is a great tackle, but it was expected. You know, you see the empty backfield, and you've got 3rd and 2. You know that the quarterback's going to run the ball. Gay able to drop him in his tracks.
Dominic Davis is deep. The dangerous one standing at his 20-yard line. And Dean gets the punt away. High floating spiral. And a fair catch called for at about the 25-yard line. 37-yard punt by Tyler Dean. And it's 7-3. South Carolina late in the first quarter. Back to Baton Rouge. More than 91,600 in the house tonight, seeing South Carolina leading number 12 LSU. Tigers with the ball on 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. A handoff, and nice job by the South Carolina defense wrapping up Joseph Adai is Deandra Island. No man is an island. Certainly on that play, he was a loss of 2.
Well, John Dunn is not here to critique what you just said, but nonetheless,
touché.
Take a look from the right of your screen. Going to come flying, and he times it just perfectly. Island able to get in the backfield and drop Davis. This is what I would have anticipated in the first series. Make Randall beat you. Go ahead and take some chances. Make this kid make the throws downfield.
2nd and 12 for the Tigers. And the referees will stop it. And this will go against LSU. Motion. Let's go back to the SEC championship game inside the Georgia Dome. LSU versus Tennessee.
A little bit of a late hit there on Rohan Davey, and as a result they think, boy, this is lost. Our stud is out. Instead, Mott comes in and is tremendous. 2 different times he calls his own number on the quarterback draw, and the result in both cases are touchdowns on the 31-20 upset of the Bulls, who thought they had a shot at the national title. But now it's a little different story. You see Mock with the boot on his foot, contemplating his future. It's a little unsure right now. He's got some problems in that foot. There is a rumor that it could be surgery.
Out of Jasper, Indiana, originally committed to Michigan State with Nick Saban. More motion. Rodney Reed, the right tackle. You know, much has been made this week, Todd, about, you know, with Marcus Randall, here's an experienced hand. He and Mock were 1-2 in spring and really are similar quarterbacks, that it won't change the offensive scheme. But I think that hasn't been questioned this week. I think a lot of people have bought into the idea that there really is no big deal replacing Mock. There is.
Well, this is an inexperienced hand, and what the deal here over the last two plays has been, as a former offensive lineman / receiver, I can tell you, you get used to a certain cadence from a quarterback. And it's different in practice than it is in the game. And it appears right now that they're struggling a little bit with that.
You saw the penalties. 2nd and long. And the handoff is to Solomon Lee. Check it, it's Joseph Adai, the fullback, the freshman from Houston. It's a gain of 4. So it'll continue to be a very long way for a first down for LSU.
And rest assured at this point, Jimbo Fisher is not going to put the onus upon Randall to throw the ball downfield deep in his own territory. LSU might be content here to just run the ball here and get a punt and get out of there.
3rd and 17. LSU under Saban, in fact, 10-0 when they're having a 100-yard rush here. Something to watch as you saw Lou Holtz.
Running. You said no exercise. He was running.
3rd and 17. Randall rolling, throwing, and completing ahead to the 34-yard line. He needed to get past the 35. Reggie Robinson making the grab. It's a gain of 16. Jonathan Martin on the tackle, and it'll be about a yard short.
Do a nice job using his athleticism by rolling him out and giving him an opportunity. That's a terrific catch by Robinson, and almost able to get the first down. Good hands catch, and even though they don't get the first down, that young man's got to feel pretty good about himself, knowing that, you know what, it's okay. I can throw the ball downfield. Don't worry about it, Coach.
Donnie Jones is the punter. He's from Baton Rouge, and Matthew Thomas, along with Troy Williamson, the man who caught the 61-yard touchdown grab on the opening series for South Carolina, is deep. And the punt is low and returnable. Losing the football is Matthew Thomas. Ball is loose. Who has it? South Carolina keeps the football, but they are pinned deep. Matthew Thomas comes up with the football. A loss of 22 yards on the return after the 44-yard punt.
This is a bad decision because as soon as you muff it, just cover it. Instead, he compounds the mistake by trying to pick it up and run. Bad decision on his part. Fortunately for him, a fortuitous bounce. The ball comes back to the game pocket.
Jenkins not fazed by the 5th largest stadium in college football, behind Michigan, Penn State, Tennessee, and Ohio State. But man, oh man, does he have a lot of noise in his ears. On first down, going long, and overshoots his intended target, the touchdown maker, Troy Williamson, who was covered well this time by Corey Webster.
Well, what's happened is a little bit of a surprise. I don't think people had anticipated the great throw on the part of Jenkins. Look at that, right on the money to Williamson. And the nation's best defense up to this point has not exactly been invulnerable. 102 total yards there in the first quarter. Remember, this is a team that only gives up 208 per game.
Well, they got 7 plays, 80 yards on that opening drive, so they're not intimidated at all. But the noise is intimidating from your own end zone. On 2nd and 10, the give is to Dacus Turman. And Turman up to the 15. That's enough for a South Carolina first down, as he should have it. Brady James, the man who invented the James Gang. I tell you, that will live in infamy for as long as he's walking the earth. Somebody in Louisiana will remind him.
Dacus Turman, number 20, did something a lot of people thought would never happen. From Georgia, he broke Herschel Walker's record, 3,167. Are you kidding me? Those are like Nintendo numbers. I don't even know what that means. 3,000 yards in 1 year? Wow.
Herschel is the patron saint of high school football in the state of Georgia. 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line, and it is Corey Jenkins slashing his way across the 21-yard line. It's a gain of 6 yards. The stop by Demetrius Hookfin out of Kentwood, Louisiana.
You're looking at nearly two and a quarter here, and as we pointed out earlier, James says this is just another running back, and he certainly is. This is a big body, and you know what? It starts to get frustrating for a defense because you say he's just the quarterback, and you're not used to quarterbacks being as physical as number 9.
2nd and and 4 from the 21. Jenkins 6 carries and 22 yards. Out of the shotgun, the handoff. Lots of running room for Turman. And Turman with a big gainer for South Carolina against the nation's #1 defense. A pickup of 22 yards.
Not bad on the first 2 carries, but let's give a little credit here on the right side of the offensive line for South Carolina. Look at the hole created. Everybody's anticipating number 9 pulling through the hole. Watt Sanderson, the right tackle, does an outstanding job. And that's some determined running, I'd say, by number 20. Ouch.
Skip Holtz had talked about the strength of the offensive line. I think you're really getting a view of that right now as they're winning the battle up front. First and 10 from the 42 from the shotgun formation. 3 receivers to the near side. He'll keep the football again. And this time not much there as Chad Lavalis is there making the hit. It is a pickup of 3, so it'll bring up 2nd and 7.
You're at home saying to yourself, well, I don't understand, Todd. You said earlier, why isn't South Carolina jamming the box? Now LSU's struggling. Why aren't they jamming the box? Well, the reason they're not is because every formation South Carolina comes out with, they have 3 or 4 wide receivers. You are not afforded that luxury, and so what happens is your offensive line is versus your defensive line, and if that's the strength of your group, as Skip Holtz just pointed out, that's the matchup you want.
2nd and 7. Shotgun draw play. Andrew Pinnock, all 255 pounds of him, going very little. Tackled by Marquise Hill. It's a pickup of 3. Hill out of New Orleans.
Here's what I was making reference to, Jeff, and that is that right here, you can see they can only put this many people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This guy's not in the box. He's too far back because you got 3 wideouts on this side. And the result is you can't jam the box.
All right, 3rd down for South Carolina. What will they do? They will throw. Going long, one-on-one coverage. And it's incomplete. Troy Williamson, well covered this time by Corey Webster. Webster learning his lesson on that 61-yard touchdown.
But even so, in that case, Jenkins underthrew the ball, but Webster was with him stride for stride. And number 13 is cognizant of the fact, now look, if I'm going to come up and press coverage, I've got to hit this guy.
Do you think we'll see South Carolina going up top a lot like that tonight? You think that, at least we've seen it in the early part of this football game?
This is what's being set up. If they continue to run effectively between the tackles, that means that you're going to see a lot of single coverage outside, and you're absolutely right.
Tyler Dean is the punter. This will be his 2nd punt of the evening. The first one was 37 yards, and it's a fake. Fake. And it's complete.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Enough for the South Carolina first down to the 44-yard line. A pickup of 12 yards, and the catch is made by Will Bryan of the Gamecocks.
I really think that this thing broke down. I think that the punter wasn't sure. I think he was supposed to go downfield, not throw back across his body. Take a look. Now, obviously, as he's running here, you're thinking to yourself, well, downfield, look, these are the people he's supposed to be throwing to. He comes back across his body. Great job to come back and lower his head and get the first down. Take a look as he surveys the field. You know what? They've got to consider here the idea that that's how you do it. He went to his 1st, 2nd, and 3rd receivers.
It is a fearless Lou Holtz here before almost 92,000. And you could see the numbers on 4th down conversions, but early we've seen Lou Holtz go long, we've seen him go up top, and now gamble on 4th down against the best defense around.
Well, what's surprising about the, or maybe not so surprising, is midfield is obviously the best time to go with a fake punt, but truly it didn't appear that LSU was fooled. Give Tyler Dean, punter, credit for having the wherewithal to see himself on the field and buy time and deliver the ball on the money.
Injured Tiger on the field at the 44-yard line. Slowly to get up is number 58 for LSU. And that is C.J. Fry. Check if that is Lionel Turner, as we see Lionel Turner.
Once again, see, this is very odd. You don't see this very often. Now watch the people come downfield. This is what he's looking for. These are the eligible people. But instead, here's the guy who's actually covered. This is a great throw by Dean to get back across the grain, get him the ball, lower the shoulder, and get the first down.
All right, Todd, do you keep throwing the ball at this point? Keep the pressure on that defense?
I thought that they were running quite effectively early on in this drive, but as long as Williamson is on the field, he can strike fear at any time.
1st and 10. From the 45, and Jenkins on the option keeps it. Fear strikes out, tackled by Byron Dawson. Pickup of 1, 2nd and 9.
And this is what LSU has to do. And when they can do this, if they force him into the 2nd and 3rd longs, that's when they force Jenkins to make the kind of throws that up to this point he's been unable to make. Under 50% coming into this game.
South Carolina's offense has been averaging about 25 points per game, about 355 yards per contest, and they have rushed the ball just about 170 yards per game. Looking at 2nd and 9 from the 44. And a timeout. South Carolina will burn one here. And Corey Jenkins will come over and talk with Team Holtz. All right, now South Carolina the ball and the lead. Back in Baton Rouge, where South Carolina has taken a little of a gumbo out of LSU here in the first half. As on the opening drive, Troy Williamson, the 61-yard touchdown pass from Corey Jenkins. And you can see the ESPN2 game track, total yards.
Nearly 2-1.
15 rushes and 6 passes for South Carolina. On 2nd and 9, Jenkins reverse. Troy Williamson, a wall in front of him. And plowing ahead, knocked out of bounds at the 22-yard line by Randall Gay. A pickup of 22 yards. And that gambling Lou Holtz is showing some razzle-dazzle.
The old Stanford reverse is what's this called. Everybody's anticipating. Of course, this is the quarterback. You know, he's going to come this direction, run the option. We've seen that a million times. Instead, here he comes from the other side. All the white shirts are going in this direction. Now look at the blockers. Look at all the red shirts up front. Williamson actually could have done a little bit better job utilizing his blockers, but let's not forget, he is a true freshman, but he is without a doubt their big play guy.
8 first downs for the South Carolina offense here on 1st and 10 from the 22. And here is the handoff. Andrew Pennick. And Pennick picks up 2. It'll be 2nd and 8. Brady James with his 4th tackle of the football game for LSU.
A little bit shell-shocked right now is the defense, as we saw yards per game allowed in the season. Rush defense already over 100 yards, and Brady James isn't very happy with himself or his compatriots.
2nd and 8 from the 20. The pitch. It's to Ryan Brewer. And the Ohio native met at the 20-yard line, a pickup of 1 by Brady James, who was there once again.
And again, LSU taking some chances, going with run blitzes.
LSU,
with that one that time.
They had yielded only 10 points all season long in the first quarter.
Well, Brady James does a great job of running behind the blocks and getting Brewer in the backfield. Number 11 is all over the field.
Brewer had ankle surgery in the offseason. He was hurt in the Outback Bowl and had surgery in Birmingham, Alabama, and it's been a little bit of a slow heal back, but doing better. 13th play of the drive after the 4th down pass. 3rd and 7. Shotgun formation. Here comes the pressure. Gets it away. It is complete to James Atkinson. And the St. Louis, Missouri native picks up 1 yard, and that's it. It's a penalty marker on the field right now. May go against South Carolina.
Atkinson hasn't played in quite a while, and it shows. The break screen is for you to go in the middle and follow your blockers. He cuts back to the outside where he has no friends, and thus it was only a short gain. Oh, boy.
So much for that. It goes against LSU. What a mistake.
After the play was over, there was a personal foul against the defense. Half the distance to the goal line, automatic first down.
And, of course, Nick Saban wants to know who was it, what was the number of the player, and come explain it to me. Who was it? Let's watch it at the end of the play, the tackle. Pulled that. It wasn't a face mask. Yeah, it appeared right at the end of the play is number 5, Damian James, putting the shoulder just a little bit late, but truthfully, folks, I don't think that justifies 15 yards.
14th play of the drive coming up. On 1st and goal from the 9. Handoff. Pennick. And into the end zone. Touchdown, Andrew Pennick. A 9-yard 60-yard touchdown sprint on 1st and goal from the 9. And look at South Carolina.
And plain and simple, they're winning the battle up front. Plain and simple. They're more physical right now than the Tigers. They are dominating the line of scrimmage. And the credit goes to those people up front. Horton, Williams, Goddard, Hall, Sanderson, and Turner, the tight end, are pushing the Tigers off the line of scrimmage.
Daniel Weaver, the point after, we talked about how important at the outside of the broadcast it was for South Carolina to come out offensively and get on the board. They have taken that to heart, and that's what they are doing. Storming here in LSU.
Watch 68, Horton and Williams, and Shane Hall pulling out. Pinnett goes in, 255 pounds, 14-3, upset brewing.
Well, it's easy to be a South Carolina fan right now when you can come into Tiger Stadium in front of a loud, noisy throng and march the ball 96 yards for a touchdown. Life is good. It's sweet for Gamecock fans.
And no fluke. It wasn't as if 80 of that came on a screenplay or some big play. They just dominated the line of scrimmage. 116 yards rushing now for the Gamecocks.
Joey Bowers kicking off. It is high and about 4 yards deep as Henderson will bring it out. Henderson with room across the 35 and up to the 37-yard line. DeVary Henderson with a fine return out of his end zone, a 38-yard return.
We mentioned that they weren't dominant in terms of running the ball, but there were two very key plays. In this case, Tyler Deans, the punter, goes over to Martin for the first down on the fake punt. And of course, what appeared to be just a little bit of a mystery late hit here. This is in slow motion. I don't know, because that's not the helmet, that's his forearm. I would have kept the pocket, I would have kept it in my pants, but nonetheless, touchdown for the Gamecocks instead of a field goal attempt.
On 1st and 10, Randall rolling, throwing, and completing the football in Gamecock territory to Michael Clayton. First down for LSU, a pickup of 25 yards.
Michael Clayton, the leading receiver, with 24 catches coming into this game at 6'4", 190 pounds. He is their possession guy. And now down 11 points, Jimbo Fisher, the offensive coordinator for LSU, has decided, hey, you know what? We've got to see now whether or not this kid can deal with some adversity.
Well, you saw Henderson bring it out of the end zone. That gave you an idea that they understand the gravity of what's going on right now. They've got to try and get back in this ball game.
Well, they're second in the nation in kickoff returns. That's one of the big plays. Why not?
1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. This will be a motion penalty. In all probability, that goes against LSU. A little bit of movement. Brandon Hurley, the fullback, it looked like he was moving before he should have. Penalty number 6 for 43 yards against the Tigers. Tonight at 10 o'clock on ESPN, Tyrone Willingham and Notre Dame thinking about a national title as they take on Chance Harridge and Air Force in a battle of the unbeatens in Colorado Springs at almost 7,000 feet on a night where the temperatures are in the 30s. College Football Saturday brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN.
Carlisle Holiday versus Chance Harridge. I like it.
I like it too. Here is the pitch on 1st down. Running room to the 27, Dominic Davis. How quick did he hit the hole? Tackled by Jonathan Martin. He picks up 15 and a 1st down.
You get a chance to see his body up close, number 31. After last year, he knew that he was going to have to carry the ball a little bit more. That's not a scat back who's getting 19 yards per punt return. Number 31 is 6'2", 220, and I'm telling you, I'm 46 years of age, but I could have run through that hole. That was a nice job at the point of attack by Rob Sale and Rodney Reed.
With Davis on special teams so much, does that take some gas out of him?
No doubt.
Latter part of the game?
Hey, he's young and resilient. It's all good.
On 1st and 10 from the 26, straight ahead. And it is a pickup of about 5 yards, so 2nd and 5. Let's go to Stacey Pates along the sideline. Stacey?
We'll have a special guest, Eric Randall. He's the brother of Marcus Randall. He was a head coach while Marcus was in school, and also actually Marcus Spears. He coached Marcus Spears and also his younger brother as well. Talk about what you said to your brother, preparing him because this was his first start.
Well, I told him to play the game as he's always done in this case, because football is football. Make sure you manage the game, get your pre-snap reads, and make sure that each handoff that you protect the football. That's the bottom line. Protect the football, you got a better chance of coming out on top.
He seems quite poised right now. Was he nervous at all? How was his mental preparation?
No, in talking with Marcus, he was not nervous. I'm probably a little bit more nervous than he is in my family, but he was real relaxed. He's been waiting his turn, and now he has the opportunity to step in and try to lead the Tigers to victory.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Boy, Southern University's had some good football teams over the years. They really have. We've seen them in the Heritage Bowl in Atlanta over the years. Really some outstanding talent, always well coached.
And that young man has made some plays up to this point, but has also had some problems. The number of procedure penalties. That ball right there, fortunately for him, was fumbled forward out of bounds. He needed to come between the tackles on that quarterback draw. And if we get a chance later, we'll take a look at the wristband that he has. It made Tom Maddie's look miniature.
Tom Maddie, there's a reference
that.
when he was playing for the Baltimore Colts with a wristband.
He's got plays on the front and the back of that.
Third down conversions, 0 for 2 for LSU on 39 from the 25. Quick drop, and it's incomplete. Swinging it out to DeVary Henderson, and it's incomplete. It'll bring up 4th down.
He wasn't in a, he didn't have to hurry. He didn't have to hurry. And with John Corbello with a 45-yarder already this year, and now 9 for 11, they've got to kick the field goal here. This makes sense.
Corbello was already hit from 42, and this one will be from 42 as well. So matching or dueling 42-yard field goals. No wind tonight here in Baton Rouge. And here is the kick. It hits the crossbar and no good. Well, that was dead center. It needed about another half yard to be able to clear the crossbar, but John Corbello did not get it, as it would have been good from about 41, but 42 was too long. We're in the second quarter. Carolina continuing to lead LSU 14-3.
Weather.
Downtown Baton Rouge, where football is life. Football and food, I think, in about that order.
I can attest to that. Mike Anderson's and Ruth's Chris, they've lost a lot of food as a result of my visits.
Cha-ching. 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. The give straight ahead. First down for Dacus Turman. And Turman across the 40-yard line down to the 42. A gain of 16. Tackled by Demetrius Hookfin and Randall Gay. Surprise, surprise time.
Really is. Really is. The offensive line continues to be outstanding. Take a look at Dacus Turman. Follows behind. Boy, that's a great block at the point of attack by the fullback. Gets into the secondary right away.
They've got 133 rushing yards right now in this proud defense of LSU. The give. And some running room for Corey Jenkins. He'll pick up maybe 4 yards. 2nd and 6.
Well, as we go back to the missed field goal, Ben Wilkerson is the starting center. There's the snap. Beck can't quite get it down. Corbello has to follow through. You can see the ball is just not there, and the result, you can see the body language by Corbello. He knows he's not able to get enough juice on it. The ball spins quickly. That's the reason why it hit the crossbar.
Well, they were really, fortunate to have any kind of attempt, given the way that was going.
I agree. But even with the bad snap, that's what the holders do. That's what they practice on. He's got to get it down.
2nd and 5 from the 46, shotgun formation. And he'll keep it right up the gut. And this time, not much for Corey Jenkins. He'll bring up 2, and it will bring up 3rd and about 3 yards.
But see, this is what we've been having. Have you noticed that, Jeff? 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6. They have not been coming up 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 10. And as a result, South Carolina has been able to dictate its offense to LSU's defense, not the other way around.
Well, you're really right. As you take a look at the LSU total defensive graph here,
wow.
And it really gives you a sense, too, I think, that you don't know what to expect from the offense of South Carolina. They have really mixed it up. We'll see what happens here. On 3rd and 3, they're 1 for 4 on 3rd down conversions. From the shotgun formation, 4 receivers. Going long, near sideline, man out there, diving attempt, it's incomplete. As James Atkinson maybe should have had that ball, Todd. He had his hands on it. It would have been a very tough catch.
No babies about it. Atkinson didn't think he was going to get the ball. He didn't think Jenkins had the arm strength to get it down there. And as he's running his route, he's loafing a little bit. Take a look. Watch number 88 and watch about the middle of the route. Right here, he's just kind of coasting a little bit, kind of coasting. Now he sees the ball is thrown. Now he accelerates. He's got to be running the entire time. And as a result, he cost the Gamecocks a big play.
And the punt with Dominic Davis deep. And it's a fair catch at the 9-yard line. That's an odd decision. Fair catch there. 40-yard punt. South Carolina leads.
He had been pacing. Doggone it, I really wanted to get that for you. In the first quarter, that man, 10 paces, 165 yards. Those are the stats up to the minute.
Be still my pounding Holtz. 1st and 10 from the 9. Dominique Davis. It's a pickup of 3. 2nd and 7. Lance Lowry on the stop. There he is.
There we go. Now he's got it going.
So many favorite quotes from him over the years. I always loved the line a couple of years ago. We could never get on Noah's Ark. We don't have 2 of anything. Well, he's got 2 touchdowns, leading 14-3.
Well, he can't be too upset because he mentioned coming in. He told our Stacey Pates the idea that, you know what, people are going to get to see our defense too. And up to this point, they've only given up 3 points.
2nd and 7 for LSU. The pitch and cutting it back in. Missed tackles by South Carolina, and Dominic Davis is run out of bounds just short of the 20-yard line. It's a gain of 9. Jeremiah Garrison, the middle linebacker from Belton, South Carolina, is there.
And in a couple of runs we've talked about, great job by the offensive line. Davis that time did it all by himself. There's penetration into the backfield. Watch the number of people he makes miss. Runs through the tackles. Dominic Davis now at 220 pounds, as I pointed out earlier. Not just a scat back. He's tough.
Just a little bit short. We've got a kind of a modest angle on this. It looks like he may be short, but we'll see as they stretch this out. All right, here we go. Oh, that's enough for the first down.
Well, you know what? You didn't predict ahead of time. Boy, that's a way to be bold.
Davis has 10 carries for 63 yards right now.
Not a bad average per carry there, 6.6. I'll take that. In my fantasy geriatric league that I participate in.
1st and 10 now for LSU. Rolling is Marcus Randall and firing, and it is incomplete. Eric Edwards unable to hang on to the football. Let's take a look at the numbers now on Randall. He is 4 of 7, 69 yards.
Still seems tentative, though. He hasn't taken control, and it's clear that the offense is not as comfortable with Randall as they are with Mock. Mock was a playmaker. I mean, Mock was not a guy that just managed the offense, as you see sometimes with so many teams. They really miss number 18. He made plays.
Really, kind of a freaky, quirky injury last week. When you take a look at some of the videotape, it's hard to tell how he was injured or even where. 2nd and 10 from the 19 out of the shotgun. 4 wideouts, 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Here's the draw play. And pounding his way through is Dominic Davis, a gain of about 3 yards for LSU. Take a look at last week when LSU was so dominant against Florida. Here's the injury. You tell me where this occurs.
Well, I can tell you what happens. I had 2 different broken bones in my feet, and sometimes at the tackle you extend yourself just a little bit too much, and your toe kind of dislocates a little bit to where there is that fracture. Well, he's cheery right. He was cheery then, but tonight he's not so upbeat. Well, in addition, I want to say in addition to those throws, remember he rushed for 67 yards.
We'll see how upbeat they are after this 3rd down. 0 for 3 on 3rd down conversions. Now 3rd and 7, shotgun formation. Randall with time across the middle. 1st down LSU. The catch made by Michael Clayton up to the 38-yard line. Maybe his best throw of the night.
No doubt. And again, in this situation, he does it in the pocket. And that's got to make him feel a lot better. Up to this point, they continue to roll out, try and get him to throw on the run. This time he's able to get the dig. Watch at the very top of your screen. Watch the green grass. Right in the middle is the dig. Clayton does a good job of settling down in the zone. South Carolina says, well, you know what? You got to beat us with a good throw. And that's exactly what he does. Number 14 comes across, makes the catch. Big 1st down for the Tigers.
Myers and Clayton split to the right side. I formation on 1st and 10. The pitch, Dominic Davis. And Davis, the hold closes in a hurry up to maybe the 43. It's a gain of 5. It'll bring up 2nd and 5. How important, Todd, is it as we see the clock now inside of 3 minutes? You're down 14-3. You're at home. How important is it to get some points, specifically a touchdown in this drive?
How important is it? Let me think. On a scale of 1, oh, come on. Of course it's crucial, because here's the situation with LSU. You know what? This is actually the sort of game, as we get a chance to see this penalty, this is the sort of game that I think that Nick Saban thought was going to
During
happen.
the run, illegal crackback block by the offense. 15-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
All right, they've now got 7 penalties for 58 yards here in the first half.
And the problems that they talked about with the young, inexperienced quarterback was just to manage the game and hope for the defense puts them in good situations. Well, he's managed the game okay. They've got a rusher that has over 60 yards. All of those things are good. But their defense, so highly touted coming into this game, has not risen to the occasion. But the defense on the other side, as we get a chance to see Charlie Strong, defensive coordinator for South Carolina.
He's got a great sense of humor.
He's done pretty well. Yeah, funny guy.
Really had some funny stories about Lou Holtz, many of which we probably won't tell. 1st and 23 from the 25. Play action. In trouble, getting the football away. The catch is made by Dominic Davis. How did he do that? Up to the 38-yard line, tackled by Rashad Faison. It's a gain of 17.
We talked about Langston Moore as being an abnormal nose tackle, and he was in this case. But once again, a flag is down, and you had to know that there were linemen downfield. You just knew that because that play was completely discombobulated. Usually it's a 1,001, 1,002. You throw the screen. In this case, it was 1,004 and 5. And Nick Saban has to be thinking himself.
An eligible receiver downfield by the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
8 penalties.
Of course, we should say, though, that Langston Moore, number 57, that terrific nose tackle, is the one that created all the problems. Watch number 57 in pursuit. Now, the ball should have been gone by now. And, of course, the ball now, instead of the normal screen pass, look at how long it's in the air, and you can see a number of white shirts already downfield. Ben Wilkerson, the center in particular.
Well, 1st and long, 1st and 28. Looks like about 27 now.
We'll get it right.
Out of the shotgun formation. Computer not working to that big a number. Joseph Adai. And nothing there. Let's go to Matt Weiner right now.
All right, Jeff, checking in out west. Jason Thomas and UNLV against BYU. The bootleg breaks a tackle, takes it in. 6-yard touchdown run. UNLV up 9-3 on the Cougars. Meanwhile, Bowling Green trying to remain unbeaten up on Western Michigan by 7 in the 4th.
Well, Todd, I have to be honest with you. When I saw Brigham Young against Syracuse on ESPN, and then we had the Hawaii game, I thought they were going to be a much better football team than they have evolved to in 2002.
Well, next time you make that analysis, be dishonest with me, would you please?
With your son, I'll make that pronouncement and leave you away from it. 2nd and 29. Near side, it is complete. The catch is made by Reggie Robinson. He's up to the 37-yard line. It's a gain of 18 yards for LSU. Monday Night Countdown previews ABC's Monday Night Football game and provides up-to-the-minute NFL news with Stuart Scott, Tom Jackson, Ron Jaworski, Sterling Sharp, and Chris Mortensen. Monday Night Countdown, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Then join Al Michaels and John Madden as the 4-1 Colts take on the Steelers. Indianapolis travels to Pittsburgh. A look at some of the numbers on the Colts and the Steelers.
Well, the big number right now for LSU is the fact that the clock is bleeding down. When this play started, there was over a minute, as they shuffle up to try and get up, asking a lot once again of the young quarterback to manage time, but LSU offense has done it poorly here.
Marcus Randall out of the shotgun. Here he has time, wants to go long. Up top, man out there, penalty marker, and the ball is dropped. Benny Brazil from Houston, Texas, the wide receiver. The freshman couldn't hang on to the ball, but there's a penalty marker at the 28-yard line. A lot of pressure from Jeremiah Garrison on the quarterback, Marcus Randall.
But they got what they wanted. Benny Brazil is another one of those absolute speedsters. Now, even if this is interference, we say 14.7 seconds remaining. That'll be a 15-yard gain. But having said that, they would have been a lot better off if Brazil could have made that
That's
catch.
interference on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage and automatic first down.
College game day coming up here at halftime, which is only 14 seconds away.
That young man aided the track team in getting the NCAA championships. Watch to the outside. Number 17 is just flying down the field. Fooled completely is number 32, Dante Robinson. Coming over his shoulder, that's a difficult catch, but it has to be made. It has to be made. Brazil anchored the 4x100-meter relay team, which won the NCAA title, and also ran a leg on a 4x400.
And he was flying. 14 seconds left before halftime. South Carolina leads. First and 10 for LSU. 14 seconds remain. Randall with time, firing, and the catch is incomplete along the LSU sideline. At about the 34-yard line, Henderson was the target, but pretty good coverage over there.
So many wasted seconds here, Jeff, in the last two plays. So many wasted seconds. And, of course, unfortunately for Randall, Brazil could not come up with the ball. They need to get down. I mentioned Corbello has a career long of 49 yards, so you figure that they need probably at this point at least 15 yards.
Randall 6 of 10, 103 yards.
And they've got 2 timeouts, so he can throw the ball in the middle of the field.
Second and 10. 8 seconds left. Shotgun formation. Across the middle, and it is caught. What a catch, Michael Clayton.
Wow.
Quick, timeout. Jeremiah Garrison on the tackle for South Carolina. It's a gain of 17, and here comes John Corbello. What a strike.
You know, just when we talk about this kid struggling and some of the mistakes he makes a throw like that. But again, give credit where credit is due. Number 14 makes a great catch in between that DB sandwich.
We welcome all the sailors and Marines watching tonight's game in the dining facility at Iwakuni, Japan. America thanks you for all of you do.
Well done. I was looking at that name. I thought that might screw you up a little bit. You did. I usually say Japan, but we got it right. Okay.
Do you speak Japanese, or it's Mandarin you speak? I'm sorry.
I speak early for dinner. That's what I speak.
I'm with you too. A look at Corbello's numbers.
Now, of course, we mentioned the last field goal. Does it affect the kicker psychologically? I think it does, because now your security and your holder. The nice thing, though, about this timeout is that in this case, Wilkerson gets to wipe his hands off, get a little bit of a blow. I'm very surprised, really, that you have a regular player snapping. Usually you want a specialist.
That's why kicking is such a negative position. He hits from 42. You don't think about that. You think about the miss. This one's from 47 yards out for John Corbello. The snap is good. So is the hold. And the kick is up, and it is good. So as the clock runs out here in the second quarter, LSU gets on the board. 48-yard field goal by John Corbello. The Lou Holtz South Carolina lead. Let's go to Matt Weiner in our studio right now.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you very much. So a little momentum for LSU, trying to get that offense going with Marcus Randall.
For the start of the second half, I'm Jeff Hullinger along with Todd Christensen and Stacy Pate. South Carolina surprising number 12 LSU in a 14-6 contest, Todd. It has been quite a first half.
I think there are about 91,000 that are thinking to themselves, this is not what I expected.
Joey Bowers kicking off, and Dominic Davis bringing it out to the 20, 25, 30, spinning ahead to the 41, maybe the 42-yard line, a 38-yard return, giving him pretty good field position. Well, we saw this game playing out a number of ways in the first half, but I don't think we saw South Carolina getting 139 yards rushing on the nation's #1 defensive unit, but that's exactly what transpired.
Certainly not. The offensive line for South Carolina was dominant. Of course, runners, Pinnock was able to get going, and of course, Jenkins, everybody else was able to get it. And I was surprised, frankly, that LSU did not make the defensive adjustments until later.
On first and 10 from the 42, the give is to Davis. There is no rest for the talented. It's a gain of 3. It'll bring up 2nd and 7. the ESPN2 game track. Carolina struck first.
61-yard bomb to Williamson, a terrific throw by Jenkins. He puts this right on the money to the speedster, and that really shocked the crowd. But in addition to the long throw, it's the total yards that South Carolina's been able to put together. 212 total yards, already more than LSU gives up on average per game.
LSU also with 8 penalties in the first half. That has caused them all kinds of fits. 2nd and 7 now from the 47. And the handoff is straight up the middle to the 45, Dominic Davis. And it is no gain. Let's check in with Stacey Pates.
I spoke with Coach Holtz at the break, and he told me that he's more concerned with his defense. Yes, they struck early. Yes, they've been moving the ball well, but he absolutely thinks his defense did a poor job. Coach Saban said they simply didn't play well. They got confused on some of the Gamecocks' formations and gave them too many opportunities to stay alive.
Todd, I go back to what you said at the beginning of the broadcast, how Lou Holtz lives for these kinds of games, these big games in big stadiums against big-time opponents.
2 big plays, remember, the fake punt and that reverse contributed to scores.
3rd and 7 from the 45 for LSU. Firing, completing, and enough for the first down to Michael Clayton. The drive continues. It's a gain of 11. Fine throw by Marcus Randall, tackled by Muhammad.
Clayton continues to come up with the clutch catches, and Randall, you can see his confidence. They really needed to get something going here. They could not afford the luxury of going 3 and out. And let's not underestimate what happened there with Dominic Davis. So many times in the course of a drive, you just assume that it's a lot of it is the offense. The fact that he was able to get out past the 40-yard line with a kickoff return is huge.
The importance of special teams cannot be underplayed. 1st and 10 now for LSU in South Carolina territory at the 47-yard line. Play action, good fake by Randall going up top, man out there, and it's incomplete. At the 24-yard line, Solomon Lee was covered by Jameisha Jackson, but he had a couple of yards on Jackson, and if that ball would have been there, it would have been a big gain.
They had exactly what they wanted. They wanted man for man, and Lee had him by a couple of steps. Here's the touch, and you know what? You can do this a million times in practice, but in the game, it just is not the same. We certainly would like to have that one back.
2nd and 10 for LSU. Randall for the injured Matt Mock in the first half. 7 of 11, 120. Now 8 of 13, 128. Shotgun with time. Swings it out near side. Dominic Davis. And Davis plowing ahead to the 43-yard line. George Gauze is there. It's a gain of 4.
I don't think any time tonight Dominic Davis has been tackled by the first guy. He seems to always make the first guy miss, and really that personifies what a great punt returner is, making that first guy miss.
It's got to be home for a guy like this in the National Football League on special teams.
No doubt. Nearly 9 yards per touch, not too bad.
3rd down conversions, 2 of 5 for LSU, facing 3rd and 6. Henderson in motion. Rolling to his right is Randall. Firing on the run, and it's incomplete. Penalty marker is down. There's another one at the 33-yard line. Reggie Robinson was the wide receiver, and he was covered by Jameisha Jackson. That may be who the penalty goes against.
That may be the case, but it certainly appeared that for a minute he was going to be able to get away with it. That was a very late flag.
Lou Holtz not in motion. That's a
Best clearance from the defense. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
But once again, the inexperience of Randall. As he rolled out, take a look at all the room. Look at the grass. Now, he could take off and get that first down. And actually, the thing that's difficult about it is that he's going for the ball, but he just doesn't see the receiver. That's Jermaine Lemon. You got to drop the flag.
1st and 10. Here's the pitch. It's Davis, far side, and turning the corner. Getting some yards for Dominic Davis. A pickup of 7. George Gauze is there along with Muhammad. South Carolina versus LSU here in Baton Rouge, and it has been a Carolina half leading 14-6, but now it is LSU on the prowl offensive.
Let's not underestimate, too, getting the field goal before the half. That had to do a lot for LSU as we get a chance to see Matt Mock once again with the, they say keep it elevated.
2nd and 4 in high formation. Davis, the give, and spun down at the 25-yard line after 3.
I wonder if Nick Saban pulled Davis aside at halftime and said to number 31, he said, look, you know what? You just can't get tired, okay? We know that you're going to have a lot. You just can't get tired. I mean, he can't. You know, he has been absolutely the crux of this offense. Yes, some receivers have made plays, but they're so dependent upon number 31.
After a victory like Florida last week, you win in the swamp 36-7. Are you down this week?
That's a very good point. Psychologically, you think that he beat Florida in the swamp, he could beat anybody, but South Carolina clearly unafraid.
On 3rd and 1, straight ahead, first down for LSU. Pounding and churning is Dominic Davis down to the 12-yard line. It's a pickup of 10 yards, tackled by Muhammad.
The thing that Davis does so effectively here, you see him slow down a little bit, but when he slows down, the feet continue to move, and that's why he breaks tackles. Watch number 31 and watch the feet. But the initial, right here, he gets hit. Now the feet keep moving, the feet keep moving, the feet keep moving. Well, I tell you what, that's the very thing that running back coaches always teach. Keep your feet moving, because when that happens, you go through the arm tackles. And once again, we see the power of number 31.
It is the deepest penetration for LSU on 1st and 10 from the 12. Here's the pitch. And Joseph Adai, not much going there. A fine job by the South Carolina defense. Jonathan Martin is there, the safety. Taking a look at the numbers on Davis, Todd, 17 carries for 92 yards, and all of his special teamwork. He is the original marathon man here in Baton Rouge.
Well, you saw there that he needed a break, and he does, and the coaches have to be aware of that. But, you know, this is crunch time now. You know what? This is strange, because this is actually the first time they've been in the red zone all game long.
2nd and 10 from the 12. 10th play of the drive coming. Double tight end set. Here comes the option. Keeping it is Marcus Randall. Randall, touchdown LSU. A 12-yard touchdown sprint for Marcus Randall on the option. He made the right decision.
And Solomon Lee, the fullback, puts a terrific block out front for him. We have dwelt on his inexperience, but right there, he was able to make the right play. But he can't get too excited, because it appears that LSU is going to go for 2.
You like that decision?
No, it's too early in the game for that. But then again, Nick Saban's probably thinking to himself, points are at a premium. So we got to give it a shot while we can.
All right. To tie the ball game. With 4 wideouts. Henderson in motion. Firing. Completing. It's good. Catch made by Michael Clayton. And we're all tied up. LSU and South Carolina. But the momentum has changed.
Well, of course, once again, if you go for the 2-point conversion, you get it. It turns out to be the right decision. And why wouldn't it be Clayton who comes up with a catch on the fade stop, comes back to the quarterback, ball's on the money, scores tie.
A sleeping Tiger, no more. And Todd, it really illustrates how important that field goal was to end the first half.
I'm sorry, what did you say? You're absolutely right, because in one drive, they're able to make up for a poor first half, and the score's tied.
Corbello, it is high, it is short, and it is taken by Gauze. Gauze with some running room and banged out of bounds short of the 30-yard line, a return of 20 yards. Andrea.
Now here's an interesting play, and this is why I love this play. It's called a fade stop. You've got the wide receiver now, Clayton, who's going to run up the field. If we get a chance, I'll show you when. Right now, you freeze it. You freeze. Now see, the defensive back, in this case, Muhammad's got to be thinking, oh, he's throwing the fade route. He's throwing the fade route. No, instead, he throws quickly back. He's already back there. He's got no shot. That was a play that I remember that was invented by Terry Bradshaw and John Stallworth back in the 70s, and Randall is ecstatic.
That really was a combination. They really did run that play, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. On 1st and 10, plenty of time going up top into double coverage. Picked off. Intercepted. LSU's Demetrius Hookfin, working on Michael Ages, comes up with the football. So from points to a turnover, big momentum shifts towards LSU.
Jenkins has not made many mistakes, but this is one of them. This play took too long to develop. He needed to throw it sooner. Here's the fake. Now here's the other fake. Nobody is fooled. Now walking right there, he should have stepped back and thrown it. Instead, he waited too long. That gave the defensive back the opportunity to come back in coverage, and Hoofkin was not fooled, able to come up with the interception.
The first turnover of the football game comes here in the third quarter. The option. Keeping the football and knocked out of bounds along the South Carolina sideline is Marcus Randall. Faison on the stop. It is a gain of 14 yards and another Tiger first down.
And we've been talking ad nauseum about his confidence. Look at how he's walking. You just see that little bit of swagger. All right, I'm in control now. I'm the quarterback. I just delivered a game-tying touchdown. Check me out now in the option, getting a first down. Number 12 is full of himself, but in a good way.
He's not signing any footballs yet with a Sharpie, is he?
Yeah, that's another story.
First and 10 for LSU. Play action, in trouble. Getting rid of the football. And it's incomplete. Let's go to Matt Weiner right now.
Let's give you an update on the condition of Carnell Cadillac Williams. The latest diagnosis we have is a broken broken bone in his foot, I should say. Ronnie Brown scores, so an update on the score. It's 23-15.
Boy, Cadillac is a great player.
And to say that they're dependent upon him is an understatement.
It is an understatement. He is Auburn football. He was that night against Syracuse. Over 200 yards, including the game winner in the overtimes. Second and 10 from the 34. Option again. And again, keeping the football with room. Down at the 47 is Marcus Randall. Robinson on the hit. It's a gain of 13.
Eric Edwards, his tight end, has a nice job with the lead block, but that certainly should have been tackled sooner. As we see, there's a flag down on the field.
After the play was over, personal foul by the defense.
And let's not forget, Marcus Randall at 6'2", 220. Actually, it just goes to show how body types are different, because Jenkins is also supposedly 6'2", 220. Watch Randall break the tackles. Look at this. Shoulders down right at the end of the play. You can see the shoulder, once again, the shoulder into the helmet. I'm not sure that that's DeAndre Island is the guy who's going to get the call. I'm just not sure about that, but be that as it may, it's all going well for Randall now.
South Carolina missing a lot of tackles all of a sudden. First and 10 from the 38. And this big crowd of 91,340 making a lot of noise. Firing and completing is Marcus Randall. Reggie Robinson brought down at the 18-yard line. A 22-yard gain. Here come the Tigers.
It appeared for all intents and purposes that could have been an interception. But if you're going to go for an interception as a defensive back, you have to be absolutely certain. The result is Randall is able to get the ball. Watch right at the end. You see from the left of your screen come flying in. That's number 28. That's Island. He doesn't make the play, and the result is extra yards for the Tiger wide receiver.
First and 10 from the 17-yard line. Double tight end set now for the Tigers. Handoff. Straight ahead, Dominic Davis. It's a pickup of 2. It was interesting they took out Davis on that last series where they got the touchdown. In the first quarter, they did the same inside the red zone and it stalled.
And I was going to say, though, that it's interesting that you point that out, because that gives him a break. That gives him a rest, and still the offense was able to succeed without him.
Brandon Hurley has checked into the football game. Second and 8 from the 15. And that's going to be a motion penalty that will go against LSU.
You said at the beginning of the half, and that was a very, very astute on your part, problems for LSU in terms of the penalties.
9 penalties, 67 yards. ESPN tonight, the big one. Tyrone Willingham and Notre Dame taking on Air Force in Colorado Springs at almost 7,000 feet. College football Saturday brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN. I haven't heard your pick on this game yet.
Well, if Lou were coaching at Notre Dame, I might say so, although Willingham has been terrific this year. I thought it was interesting, very classy on his part. He walked away because he did not want to pass Newt Rockne. Amazing.
2nd and 13, tripped up at the 20 is Marcus Randall by Rashad Faison, his 5th tackle of the ball game. No gain.
Faison has been struggling with a high ankle sprain as we see Lou Holtz once again pacing. And notice, too, he has the headphones on. He wants to know what's going on both sides of the ball.
Lou Holtz loves living in college towns where he has said there is not a better environment for a family. I don't want to live in a town where the average age is deceased. Third and 13. Shotgun formation for Marcus Randall with time. And almost intercepted in the end zone.
Dante Robinson, remember, we talked about the last 2 games, had 3 interceptions in the last 2. He absolutely should have had this one. He had plenty of time to cut in front, and Randall is very lucky. At the end of the play, he decides to backhand it. Watch. He's going to cut in front. He's got plenty of time. See, he sees the ball. Now cradle it. Instead, he goes up and tries to make the catch with his hands extended, and he kicks it out of his own arms, and he's frustrated because he knows he should have had that one.
John Corbello with a 37-yard field goal attempt to give LSU the lead. Here's the kick. It's up, and it is good. LSU has taken the lead on South Carolina here in the 3rd quarter. Now up 17-14 in what is a very different looking and feeling football game from Baton Rouge.
It's college football Saturday night. Brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. And by Wendy's Mozzarella Chicken Supreme. It's chicken on a higher level.
See where the story of Bear Bryant's boys coming up on ESPN, and he once said that this stadium happens to be the worst place in the world for a visiting team. It's like being inside of a drum.
I got to tell you, I visited with Gene Stallings once about that trip up to the junction. That was an interesting story.
Bet. John Corbello kicking off. South Carolina having a tough time coming up with the football. Matthew Thomas coming out and making the most of nothing up to the 12-yard line. Here's Matt Weiner.
Hi, Jeff. We told you about Cadillac Williams' injury, and Auburn will certainly miss him, but Ronnie Brown having himself a day. Takes the pitch, and he'll go 54 yards for the touchdown. He's got 140 rushing yards and now 3 total touchdowns. So Auburn down by 2, goes for 2. Jason Campbell will roll out and keep it, and the Tigers have tied this game up at 23 in the 4th.
Always a lot of depth at running back at Auburn. Wow. That's a tradition. 1st and 10 from the 13. 3 wideouts to the top of your screen. Andrew Pinnock to the left. Corey Jenkins keeping the football, and the defense answers the challenge. Lejeune is there. The strong safety, his 5th tackle of the ball game. Pickup of 3, 2nd and 7.
Just as we talked about how important it was to get good field position on the kickoff return, in this case, it was a bad decision on the part of Matthew Thomas. He could have let the thing roll into the end zone and they'd have had a touchback. Instead, ill-advisedly, he runs out, and the Gamecocks start from far back in their own spot.
2nd and 7. Down 17-14. The handoff, and down goes Andrew Pinnock for no gain. Back to the line of scrimmage. Let's go to Stacey Pace.
There are several similarities between Nick Saban and Lou Holtz. Both are natives of West Virginia, both former players and graduates of Kent State University, both former assistant coaches at Ohio State. Both gentlemen have NFL coaching experience. Holtz head coach of the Jets in '76 and Saban an assistant of the Houston Oilers. Quite a lot of similarities, even though this is their first competition as head coaches.
3rd and 8. Lou Holtz watching. In trouble. And down goes Corey Jenkins. The LSU defense is alive. Melvin Oliver, the left end, from Opelika, Alabama, making the stop. A loss of 5.
And you saw it break down slowly but surely. The coverage was excellent in the secondary. And Jenkins, not unlike Richard Gere and Officer and Gentleman, I got no place to go.
Tonight's obscure reference brought to you by Tyler Dean, the punter, Dominic Davis at the 42. And LSU is going to have good field position. Davis at the South Carolina 49, a 42-yard punt, a 5-yard return. But the Tigers have great field position, and they have a 17-14 lead. Tigers here in Baton Rouge. And the second half is a celebration of Tiger football, much different from the way they were feeling in the first 2 quarters.
But what a big difference it is here in the second half. Look at the yardage. South Carolina has yet to get into a positive integer, whereas LSU now has 284 total yards.
Marcus Randall on first down strike. And first down, Gerald Myers making the grab. Gain of 18. Let's go to Stacey Pates.
Eric Randall, your little brother, has caused quite a spark in this quarter. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I'm contributing to him being patient and also listening to his coaches and staying with the program and making things happen. It's not just him. We have 10 other guys out there that's making it happen, and I'm so proud of all these guys because I know them pretty good.
Is this the kind of quarterback he's always been? It's just the LSU fans are just now getting to see it?
I think so. I think they're just getting an opportunity to see Marcus Randall open up. He can throw, he can run, and he's been around the game since he was 6 or 7, so he's had a lot of people to help him learn the game, and he's displaying it tonight.
He's winning a lot more fans tonight, too. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
Randall hit, and it is no gain as he is sandwiched by Jonathan Martin as they get to him. He has been a lot more patient, hasn't he?
He has, but in that situation, he needed to pitch. Instead, he gets a Gamecock sandwich. But he has been a little bit more patient. He's made good decisions. With the exception of the one throw, which should have been picked off, that led to the leading field goal. He's been throwing quite well here in the second half.
2nd and 10. Here's the handoff. It's to Sharon Carey. And Carey picks up a couple of yards. Let's go to Matt Weiner in our studio right now.
Jeff, Kansas State and Texas. Big game in the Big 12. It has been nip and tuck. El Roberson buying some time. Looks for Thomas Hill. He's got him, and he just gets into the end zone. Ties it up at 14. They've since swapped turnovers. And Bowling Green remains unbeaten. They beat Western Michigan in overtime. Josh Harris, 4 touchdowns on the day.
I love that Bowling Green story. I did not know their uniforms were orange and brown.
I played them clear back in 1975. Yeah, that was a different color combo.
On 3rd and 7 from the shotgun formation is Marcus Randall. Here comes the blitz. Gets rid of it, and it's incomplete. Man, they were coming after him in a hurry. Langston Moore was all over Marcus Randall.
And Langston Moore, that stud, has been in the backfield frequently throughout the game. Number 57. We talked about him early on in terms of his abilities as a nose tackle. He has been in the face. Here comes the blitz. You can see number 57 shrugs off the one man. You just can't block this guy with one man, and certainly Randall can attest to that.
Langston Moore out of Charleston, South Carolina. This is a 44-yard attempt for John Corbello. He's hit from 37, from 48, missed from 46, hit from 42. This one's on the way. It's up, and it is good. But a penalty marker is down.
Now he
the 2-yard line.
And you can see the reaction by Saban. They roughed the kicker, so he wants, is he going to take points off the board? And I think he's going to do that.
Would you do that?
Yes. I do it for 2 reasons. One is the obvious, the chance at a touchdown, and the other one is psychologically. You don't want to tell your offense, well, we're just going to settle for a field goal. Now the debate is whether or not it's running into or roughing the kicker, whether it's going to be 5 or 15, and that's what they're discussing. And if it's 15, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker. 15. First down.
Watch at the end and watch the right leg of Corbello. You want to lay out and make a play, but once again, it's just a bad decision on the part of Matthew Thomas. Remember earlier special teams, he was the one that did not get the ball into the end zone for the touchback. And Thomas, this is just terrible. And that's not, you know what, Corbello's not even faking it there.
If you're going to rough up the kicker, rough him up.
Man.
And Lou Holtz says, give me a timeout.
Good decision. This is a good decision.
And Holtz wants to talk to his defense to get them back on track. They're trailing LSU, and the Tigers are prowling. All right, Todd, if you're South Carolina and you fall down 24-14 to the #1 defense in the nation, you're asking a lot of your offense.
And that was heads up on the part of Lou Holtz, his gamesmanship to understand that and call that timeout. A very well-timed timeout.
1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. Here's the handoff. It's to Carey. Carey trying to get into the end zone. He does! Touchdown! LSU! 13 yards. Sharon Carey.
Well, of course, if the offensive line for LSU is going to get Carey a touchdown like that so far away, a 14-yard touchdown, no amount of timeouts is going to change things. I really would have thought it would give the Gamecocks a chance to regroup, be a little more aggressive. Instead, Carey just ran right over the top of it. It's got to be pretty exciting, doesn't it? Number 2, I think that's only his 2nd carry of the game.
John Corbello, point after attempt, and it is good. So late in the 3rd quarter, LSU now 24-14. So what do you think? The best team in the SEC these days, LSU or Georgia?
You know what? It's so hard. It's so hard to say simply because it's a little bit like the NFL. Everybody seems to be even. And look at the blocking. Here's the pull, and Carey just needs to follow behind the pulling guard. In this case, that was number 60, and that's Rodney Reed coming out front. Great block also by his fullback, number 30, Solomon Lee. It enables number 2 to get over the top. And, of course, the key play of this drive was that just inopportune on the part of Matthew Thomas to lay out and catch Corbello in the leg, and that's a 15-yard penalty. And instead of being down 20-14, instead it's 24-14.
LSU has scored on all 3 of its second-half possessions, and that 5 plays and 49 yards, 2:05 of time, and Carey with a 13-yard touchdown run.
Got some tailbacks here, don't they? No wonder he wasn't worried about Dominic Davis getting tired. He knew he had some other guys that could carry the mail.
Pretty hard to compete in the SEC without having some running backs.
Right. Well, just as we were talking about, we were just talking about Cadillac earlier. His understudy comes and gets 3 touchdowns.
John Corbello kicking off. Taken by Troy Williamson. At the 14-yard line. What a big hit on special teams by Travis Moses.
Well, the idea was to get the long strider Williamson in and his speed to maybe break the first tackle. But instead, number 26 Moses says, I tell you what, you ain't parting this Red Sea. I got you down. Here's Williamson again. Watch the beautiful long strides. Hey, maybe I could go all the way. No. Let's get a little credit where credit is due too. Not just Moses, but number 7, Adrian Mays, reserved free safety in on the play.
On 1st and 10, swinging it out. Dangerous pass, picked off. Touchdown LSU. Demetrius Hookman. His 2nd interception. That's one good for 6. And there's that big-time defense.
I just had a flashback. If you're hardcore football fans, go all the way back to Super Bowl 18. Joe Theismann throws a screen pass out in the flat. Very good. You remember, Jack Squirek picked it off. The ball floated too long. Jenkins needed to throw that flat. He did not. And I tell you what, LSU has outscored their opponents 47-10 in the 3rd quarter. This 3rd quarter has been huge for the Bayou Tigers.
And the point after attempt is good. So how did this happen? All of a sudden, LSU with a knockout punch of Carolina here.
Jenkins makes 2 mistakes in terms of the turnover. He has the long distance interception that ended up turning into a score, and now he floats a pass. And I think that's what Skip Holtz is saying to him now. This is what we're going to do next. But this ball, take a look at the trajectory. Too much of a float. Hoofkin is able to cut in front and make the play, and that's a gimme. Boy, oh boy, I bet number 33's eyes lit up. Watch this ball. That's just too high. That's just too much time in the air. Hoofkin able to get through the phalanx of blockers and come in for the gimme score.
Talking about 10 points off of turnovers for Nick Saban's crew. One of the terrific defensive minds in all of football.
Well, of course, the other thing with Lou Holtz now is he has to consider maybe the substitution of Dondrell Pinkins because Pinkins is the better thrower.
From Camilla, Georgia. Might have to give him a different look. It's a sad night in East Liverpool, Ohio, home of the Lou Holtz Hall of Fame. And listen to the crowd here in Baton Rouge. Bello has been busy. Across the 5 and down is Troy Williamson. And let's go to Matt Weimer.
Well, Jeff, Ron Zook is going to get second guessed. 4th and inches on his own 43. They go for it. Rand Carthon is stuffed, so Auburn marches down the field, sets themselves up for a 23-yard field goal attempt, but Damon Duvall's kick is blocked. Florida's never won in overtime, but that is exactly where we are headed in the Swamp. 23 all.
That's right.
Lou Holtz not very happy. Going east to west makes no sense, and now there has been a change of QB.
New quarterback Dondrell Pinkins from the shotgun. And the ball is deflected up in the air and incomplete. Oh my. Melvin Oliver got his hand on the football, and that was looking like disaster.
You know what? Maybe Melvin Oliver shouldn't have celebrated so soon. It looked like that ball was up in the air for a time that maybe he could have laid out and picked that off.
I think he lost it in the lights.
Well, no, take a look. Now watch. Watch the ricochet. Watch where the ball ends up. Now look, this is way in the air, and he's looking around. He's celebrating, hey, look what I did. Watch where the ball drops. Who knows? Maybe he could have had a shot at it.
Pinkins on 2nd and 10. Firing, and it's incomplete. Mikhail Goodman couldn't hang on to the football. USC, their last 3 possessions, started at their own 13, their own 15, and their own 7. We're in Baton Rouge, where, believe it or not, Carolina was leading at halftime, but a third-quarter blast by LSU has been absolutely, positively too much.
Really impressive, and I know that you didn't want to do that whole tale of 2 halves thing, but look at this. This is amazing. In the second half, evidently whatever Nick Saban said to the troops at halftime, it was right.
25 straight points for LSU. They're showing blitz. Here they come. Ball up. And incomplete. For a moment, it looked like maybe Hookfin, the man that scored the touchdown on the interception in the last possession, might come up with the football, but it's incomplete. And LSU again will get good field position.
I got to tell you, everybody's making a fuss over Webster and his interceptions, but I got to tell you, I am really impressed with number 33, Hoofkin. Right there, the bigger body, he's able to bat it away. As I mentioned, coming into the game, 14 passes defense. I'm not sure that doesn't lead the SEC. Number 33 is a great cover man.
That he is. Brady James, a lot of pressure on Pinkins, the quarterback. Tyler Dean, 8 yards deep in his end zone. And it is a short punt. It takes a South Carolina bounce. And about the 49-yard line of LSU. So the Tigers have excellent field position, a 43-yard punt. And a 31-14 lead right now. Let's check in with Stacey Pace.
Jeff, I believe it was you earlier that mentioned what Bear Bryant said, that playing here is the worst place to be at like being inside of a drum, and I concur. And back in 1988, the crowd was so loud it actually registered at LSU's geology department across campus on the seismograph. And from where I'm standing, I think I just felt the earth move again too.
LSU under the lights. Unstoppable over the years.
You know, I had read that too, Stacy. That it was like a 2.3 or something. That's a pretty cool story.
And on first down, Dominic Davis. Not much there. Let's go to Matt Weiner.
High temp are into overtime and the swap, and Florida strikes first. Rex Grossman. 26 yards, looking for his favorite target. Taylor Jacobs, touchdown. Gators up by 7. Auburn now getting the ball.
Like overtime in college, better than the National Football League time?
No, but nobody asked me, except you.
That I did. 2nd and 10. From midfield. Randall, man out there, and it's incomplete. Skylar Green had found a little room in the South Carolina defense, but the ball was too tall.
Ran the short corner between the two defenders, but the ball was just a little bit long. This is a tough throw. You're in the pocket. This is a long throw across your body. Randall delivers the ball on time, and it's in the area. Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
that
maybe
could have been catchable, yeah. But, of course, Skylar Green, I think that's the first ball he's had thrown his way.
Robinson and Myers are split to the right, and Green to the left. On 3rd and 10. Going long. Man out there. And incomplete inside the 10. Michael Clayton almost brought that ball down. Mohammed on the coverage for South Carolina.
There's no free safety in the center of the field, putting a lot of pressure on Mohammed. Watch the catches. We have a penalty marker. You need to body this ball. He extends his hands, and that enables Mohammed to get his hands in on the arms of Clayton.
Holding by the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
By bodying the ball, what do you mean specifically?
I'm talking about cradling the ball, trapping it between your arms and chest. That is a misnomer. Over and over again, I hear receiver coaches say, catching your hands, catching your hands. In that case, it's not a good idea, because when you catch it in your hands, it's much easier to separate the ball between your hands by hitting an arm, whereas if you body it, you can't separate the man from the ball. It's a lot more difficult.
Donnie Jones, his 2nd punt of the night. His first one was from 40, it was a 44-yard punt. And Ryan Brewer is deep. It's a short punt. And Brewer calls for a fair catch at the 14. Why?
Why? I don't know. But this is going to be offsides, unless they decide they want to go for it. But I think that Nick Saban's probably going to refuse it, because this is bad field position once again for South Carolina. All 4 drives in this half have started inside the 15.
36-yard punt. And when you're talking about a defensive team like LSU, field position becomes so critical.
It does. And you can see that's what I was saying. Nick Saban says no, put it down there. I like what the defense is doing.
By the defense. Penalty is declined. 1st down at the spot of the catch.
Well, now this is what we had expected here in the second half in terms of the defense of LSU. But again, the offense has to be a contributing factor, right? They're scoring, putting pressure on them, and now instead of being able to run the ball down 17 points, they have to go with the passing quarterback, and now they're playing into the hands of LSU.
And now LSU can simply tee off on them, because they've got to get some points. They're going to throw the ball, so you blitz, blitz, blitz. LSU 72-10 outscored the opposition in the 3rd quarter this year. They love that 3rd quarter. Corey Jenkins back in at quarterback.
Doggone it, Rick. I had 47-10. You added the 25 points. You're always ahead of me.
And the handoff to Andrew Pennick. Pennick picks up a couple. Rick Baker, our fine stat man. Bill Garrity, our spotter tonight. And that will be the final play of the 3rd quarter.
Did that go fast, or was it just me?
It went pretty fast. It's a lot to see.
There is.
Particularly if you're wearing purple or gold here in this stadium. 91,340 show their appreciation for what was a devastating performance from LSU. Hookfin, Demetrius Hookfin leading the way, and the Tigers on top. They love it here under the lights. Since 1960, LSU has won almost 75% of its night games here, and they are well on their way through 3 quarters. 2nd and 8 from the 16. Rolling is Jenkins, looking and firing and short hopping the football. Incomplete. Mikhail Goodman the target. Let's go to Matt Weiner.
All right, Jeff, Kansas State with a chance to tie the game up against Texas at home. Gerard Bright set up for the 36-yard field goal, but blocked by Rod Babers. Texas cornerback made that big interception return against Oklahoma last week, so Texas hangs on to win at 17-14. Meanwhile, Florida gets their first ever overtime win. Grossman goes for 240 and a touchdown.
You know what, Jeff, you got to give Texas some credit bouncing back. As poorly as Chris Sims played in the Longhorns against Oklahoma, I would have thought that going into Manhattan they'd have got beat, but they did. Give Mike Brown and his staff credit.
3rd and 8. Here comes the blitz on Jenkins in trouble. And down goes Jenkins at the 10-yard line. Second sack. Melvin Oliver and Jack Hunt were there to convert.
Well, you described it earlier. You were exactly right, which is we're teeing off now. We don't have to worry about the run. We're going to line people up, we're going to blitz, and we're going to come after them.
That is a bad place to be for South Carolina, not only against the nation's #1 defense, but against this big, rowdy crowd. Tyler Dean.
Ooh, nice kick.
Punt, it is terrific. Taking Davis back. Dominic Davis right up the middle, finding a hole. How did he do that? Up to the 45-yard line, a 51-yard punt. That is 17-yard return tackle by Jonathan Martin. The ESPN2 game track in the 3rd quarter. Go, you Tigers.
Well, I guess I'm going to, let's face it, it was all LSU. It was all purple and gold. The offense was extremely dominant. Of course, 2 mistakes, 2 turnovers on the part of Corey Jenkins led to some scores for LSU. 28 unanswered points for LSU.
Taking a look at that 133 yards that we saw for LSU. Meanwhile, for South Carolina, only a single yard of offense in the 3rd. On 1st and 10, the handoff. Plowing ahead is Dominic Davis. And Lenny Williams is there. It's a gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Man, how is Davis going to feel when he wakes up in the morning? This guy has been going full speed all night, taking shots left and right and down the middle.
Well, yeah, he has, but now, see, I think that they've done a nice job of taking care of him. He's near 100 yards now, but I don't believe he's had 20 carries.
He's right at 20 for 97 yards. 2nd and 7, both receivers to the near side. South Carolina showing blitz, and Davis gets the call. And he also gets to meet the interior of the line for South Carolina. On the stop is Preston Thorne. It's a good name for a nose tackle, Thorne.
It is, isn't it?
31-14, LSU leading South Carolina. Gamecocks came in. They had won 4 straight games. Came from behind at Kentucky last week. 5-2 overall, 3-1 in the SEC. But they have run into a buzzsaw in the 3rd quarter. 3rd and 7. Here comes the blitz. Randall gets it away. It's complete. First down and more to the 29-yard line. Michael Clayton makes the grab. Mohammed the tackle pickup of 11 yards.
Saw it coming, and one of the advantages of being in the shotgun on the slant, he's able to deliver the ball on the money.
I'm really struck by the growing confidence of Marcus Randall. You know, he looks like a different quarterback.
He wouldn't have made that throw in the 1st quarter, I don't think.
Double tight end set for LSU. And off. Sharon Carey. And Carey to the 25, picks up 5. It'll bring up 2nd and 5. Let's go to Matt Weiner now.
All right, Jeff, out to the Pac-10 we go. UCLA and Cal tied up at 10. Cal knocking on the door, and Joe Igler there to knock it down. 4-yard touchdown run. Cal running out the clock. They're going to get that win 17-10. Notre Dame and Air Force underway. Air Force got the ball first. They have kicked it away. This one, of course, happening right now over on ESPN. Couple of unbeatens.
Did I see on the scoreboard Brigham Young had been defeated tonight, too?
Ouch, that's homecoming. And my parents were at that game.
2nd and 5. And falling down is Carey after a gain of 1, tackled by Langston Moore. We've got Brigham Young, Colorado State coming up this week from Fort Collins on Thursday night.
We do. I want to come back to something you said earlier. Near the end of the half, you asked me as to whether or not LSU might be the best team in the SEC. Let me just say this. If they play all these third quarters like this, the answer to your question is yes.
They talk about a different style between what Mark Richt does, a former offensive coordinator for Bobby Bowden at Florida State, and Nick Saban, the defensive guru. It brings up sort of a stylistic difference.
But just as I mentioned, the thing about third quarters, they have outscored their SEC opponents in the third quarter 48-0.
On 3rd and 5, rolling, looking, and it's incomplete. Slipping as he was trying to make the catch was Eric Edwards, the tight end out of Monroe, Louisiana, 6'5", 260-pound junior, and that means we see John Corbello. I don't know who's been more active tonight, Dominic Davis or John Corbello. It may be a photo finish.
Well, the thing that's particularly impressive for Corbello, they've all been of the 40-plus variety. And maybe after the game, he will chide Nick Saban and say, hey, you know what? You cost me one, man. You made me take that one back.
There were the numbers. Missed one, hit the crossbar after a...
That wasn't his fault.
Yeah, dicey hold. 41-yard attempt. This one is on the way, and it is no good.
Spoke too soon.
Just a little wide left, which is an ugly term for those who follow Florida State. We'll take a break here. All LSU. We now join the following series already in progress. Jenkins on first down. Picked up 3, so this is 2nd and 7 from the shotgun. On the pitch. Trying to turn the corner is Turman, and penalty marker at the 29-yard line as he is knocked out of bounds along the South Carolina sideline.
The referee's the one that calls it, so you know it's got to be either a roughing the passer or a hold. In this case, a hold.
Well, South Carolina has really run out of energy and gas here, haven't they?
Well, you know what? I don't know if it's so much that. I just think that they've been completely outplayed in the third quarter. The dominance that they had at the line of scrimmage in the first half disappeared. And you know, that defense that we had talked about so glowingly.
Holding by the offense during the run. 3-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
Clearly rose to the occasion there in the third quarter. But this has also been an education for those of you who are stat freaks. Sometimes you look at statistics and you say, well, you know what, they're an entity unto themselves. Right. The LSU defense is an entity unto themselves. In the first half, they're not getting any help from their offense. They're on the field all the time. Drives are being consummated in touchdowns. Then in the second half, suddenly the offense starts to go, and what happens? The defense rises to the occasion and meets their excellence.
2nd and long. With time, keeping the football, and brought down at the 30-yard line is Corey Jenkins by Chad Lavalis out of Marksville, Louisiana. It's a gain of 11.
Good open field tackle because they had 3 of the receivers on streaks, and so it was a lot of grass in front of Jenkins. He had plenty of room to get the first down and then some, but number 93 is able to drag him down.
Well, he is a big one. Defensive tackle.
6'3", 289. That's average now, isn't it?
It's a big lad.
Big for you and me.
3rd and 5. There's Jenkins coming near side, and the ball is caught by Ages, but no, it's incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th down. So.
Were you surprised to see Jenkins back in?
I was. I thought it was curious.
Did Pinkins get hurt?
You bring in Pinkins and then you pull him after one series.
Well, I mean, he's your thrower, so I was under the impression that was the reason he was in. I don't know, maybe he got dinged.
Pinkins from Camilla, Georgia. Not that far from South Carolina. Tyler Dean getting ready to punt from his 15. And this is a good punt. Dominic Davis calls for the fair catch. And LSU will take over the football. 46-yard punt. All Tigers here in the 4th quarter. Life is good at LSU on top of South Carolina on a beautiful night in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On first down, Dominic Davis picks up 4, tackled by Jonathan Martin. Let's go to Matt Weiner now.
All right, Notre Dame and Air Force over on ESPN. As we told you, the Falcons kicked away their first possession. The Irish gave away theirs. John Rudzinski gets to Carlisle. Holiday coughs it up. Falcons fall on, and they have the ball still 0-0 right now. Meanwhile, Cal finishes off UCLA 17-10. Kyle Bowler, just 133 yards, but a win.
Air Force getting that early turnover, eh?
Interesting. That's going to be a good game.
Sure is. Davis now has 22 carries, 101 yards. 2nd and 6 from the 28. And he gets the call again. To the 33, Island on the tackle. Let's go to Stacy after a 5-yard pickup.
Rohan Davey now with the New England Patriots. You were here breaking records at LSU a short time ago. What do you think of Marcus Randall?
Man, I can't really say enough about how he came out tonight and played. You know, a lot of pressure on him as far as his first start. And he was prepared well by Coach Fisher and Coach Saban. He came out there and did a great job.
Matt Mock did not get a lot of playing time last year because you were the lead guy. Were you able to talk to him because he got to step in when you were injured at one point? Were you able to console him at all with this injury he has?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him about it, and, you know, it's tough because he was doing so well, and they came up with a big win last week. And, you know, things were going in the right direction. Unfortunately, he got the injury, but, you know, I told him you just got to, it's like adversity. You know, just like in a game when you make a bad play, just step up and overcome it.
You were telling me just moments ago, had I never been here before, I wouldn't know how crazy this place is. This is my first time to Tiger Stadium. Do you miss this crowd?
Oh, I miss it tremendously. I miss the fans, everybody. It's just a great atmosphere for college football.
All right, Rohan, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, we saw him at practice yesterday, and I forgot how big he is. He is really a big quarterback.
Well, you know, the punishment that they have to take now, it's very rare now that you can afford the luxury of having a quarterback that's, say, 185 or 190 at that level. And, of course, the name of the game at that level is kill the quarterback, so you got to be tough back there. You got to have a big body.
On 1st down, bouncing off tacklers is Joseph Adai. And down at the 41-2 by Island after a pickup of 3. If you're wondering how LSU did it here in the second half, they really have done it this way. They've gotten the turnovers, that's one. And the second point is they only had 1 penalty, only 1 mistake in the 3rd quarter as opposed to 8 in the 1st half.
Well, of course, a lot of that is the result of number 31, Dominic Davis. It's interesting that he's out of the game now. Nick Saban was criticized last week for keeping Mock in the game too long, thinking that injury was a byproduct that he should have been on the sidelines. I wonder now if we've seen the last of 31.
2nd and 5. Here is the pitch. And not much there. Thrown back is Joseph Adai by Preston Thorne. You know, that's always a tough call for a head coach, particularly when you want to get a guy as much work as he possibly can to make sure that your offense, you know, which is dependent on execution, you want to keep him in there as long as possible.
Well, of course, the difference in the case of Davis is they do have plenty of tailbacks, so you can get some guys in there. The quarterback, you're not so sure. You don't know if you want to have a fresh body out there that might fumble the center snap or do something else. You certainly can't fault Saban for that in the case of Mock.
I mean, Mock's only a sophomore, too.
And, of course, you know, Nick Saban points out the fact that, you know, he has an NFL mentality. And think about that. You know, at the NFL, as you know, because you do so many radio games with the Falcons, you know, that quarterback's in there. Some quarterbacks have every snap of every game.
On 3rd and 4, LSU gets a 1st down, courtesy of Joseph Adai, tackled by Faison. 6 tackles for Rashad. Monday Night Countdown previews ABC's Monday Night Football game and provides up-to-the-minute NFL news with Stuart Scott, Tom Jackson, Ron Jaworski, Sterling Sharp, and Chris Mortensen. Monday Night Countdown, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Then join Al Michaels and John Madden as the 4-1 Colts take on the Steelers in Indianapolis at Pittsburgh.
You go, girl. You go, girl. Yes, indeed.
Hard to find matching slacks with a shirt like that.
Did you have you have an infant son. Did you think about naming him Plexico by chance?
I did not, as in Burse.
Yeah.
Sharon Carey gets the call, pick a couple of yards. Mo Thompson is there.
You name him Jeffrey after yourself. That's really original. Come on, Plexico Hollinger. I guarantee you that if he'd have been, you know, when he starts school.
That means a scholarship already, doesn't it?
It does. Not only that.
Already scouts start sniffing out your kid.
He has no problem with being mistaken, right? Now, Jeff, there are a lot of Jeffs. Plexico Hollinger.
Yeah, maybe not.
All right, Kira, if you're watching this kid.
2nd and 5
still upset
from the 46.
that it's not Todd J. Hollinger.
Well, we thought about
That's
that. We thought about it. There's plenty of time. And here's the handoff. Lots of room. Carey, it's a foot race. And knocked out inside the 5, down to the 3 by Island. And the hits just keep on coming. 43 yards for carry. And a first down, a first and goal from the 3.
Rob Sale, Rodney Reed, and Eric Edwards are creating the hole. And we talked about how the offensive line for South Carolina was dominant in the first half. Now it's the LSU offensive line that's dominant. Look at the gap. And how exciting for little number 2, almost getting in for his second touchdown of the night. And again, they have no need to bring in number 31 anymore.
So tell the truth, did you see a route at halftime?
No way. You didn't either, so don't. Come on.
I didn't either. Dominic Davis.
Didn't I just say he doesn't need to come back in?
He is in. He gets the call. And he is racked up at the 5, maybe a loss of 2 there. George Gauze is there from Conway, South Carolina.
If I'm Kerry, I'm a little bit upset. I say, wait a minute, wasn't I the guy that got us down there? Come on.
Taking a high 5.
Kerry, you're a youngster. You can't be tired. You want to get that touchdown.
The numbers on Davis. Wow.
Well, here's what I'm particularly impressed with is the fact that not only is he still in the game, but he's not fatigued. We talked about that early on, and clearly it hasn't bothered him.
The pitch, Davis. Sprint to the end zone. Touchdown, Davis! Is he tired? There's your answer.
Exactly.
A 5-yard sprint, and the LSU route is on. Lights out in Columbia.
Still with the quick feet, he bounces to the outside. And of course, it might be that he has a new jersey on. Do you see that? Remember how dirty that other number 31 was?
He is a sensational football player.
He is. He is. 26 carries for 113 yards and that touchdown.
Corbello, point after attempt, is good. Late in the 4th quarter, all LSU. They have turned it up and on in the second half and blown away South Carolina.
News College Football Saturday night. Brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinkin' Bush Light. And by Saturn, makers of the View, redesigned L Series, and the all-new Ion.
Well, LSU has 15 first downs this half, none for South Carolina. In fact, South Carolina has just 14 plays. They'll get the football here. Almost to the 20 is Robinson. I think one of my favorite moments from the game was at halftime watching you eat catfish. Guys who live in the Rocky Mountain West do not eat catfish. I explained that to a South Carolina grad, Dan Reeves.
All right, and thus scolded, I went right to my salad, and I left it alone.
Lou Holtz, the long walk in tonight. So LSU ranked number 12 all over South Carolina. Gamecocks have a 1st and 10 now. Shotgun formation. Pinkins back in the ball game. In trouble, and down he goes. You know, you take a look at LSU. Hit by Jeremy Lawrence. In fact, you've got a stat on Lou Holtz. Go ahead.
I do. He's had 31 paces for 440 yards. Okay, so he has done much better than his team, but unfortunately, Lou was not able to get into the end zone. It's been a very frustrating pacing for Lou Holtz here in the second half. It's been like an avalanche. The offense of LSU has really taken over.
Tsunami wave. The ESPN2 pedometer on Lou Holtz tonight. 2nd and 18. Pinkins, good pass, and it is complete to Mikhail Goodman. And tackled by Damian James. Let's check in with Stacey Pates.
Well, this is not exactly where anybody wants to see Matt Mock on the sidelines on crutches. You remember the pressure of what it was like to have your first start. What do you think about Marcus Randall tonight?
I had the utmost confidence in Marcus, and I think he did a great job tonight. He showed everybody that he's capable of doing it, and I just see him getting better and better each week.
Did you sit down with him before the game and give him any ideas, any pep talks?
I just kind of said to him, kind of went over how the game would kind of play out, and I just told him to play hard. That's all he can do. That's all he can worry about.
We've been following your situation, a torn ligament that could require surgery. Do you think your season's over?
I hope not, but I'm going to leave that up to the doctors.
Demetrius Hookfin on his way for 6, but penalty markers are down. At the 18, I think this may be coming back.
Well, the interception isn't coming back. They will have the ball, but I think there was a block in the back. or a chop block, or even roughing the passer. Wow. Torrin Williams, it appears, is going to be the guilty party, and Hoofkin's going to have a word with him afterwards. And Hoofkin has had a terrific game.
All right, let's hear.
You hate to have those picks called back.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on the defense. Shot to the head. 15 yards and an automatic first down.
Thinking about LSU, they're at Auburn next week, then they're at Kentucky, and then home with Alabama and Ole Miss, and then close it out at Arkansas. As you look at the replay.
Well, I don't know. That wasn't necessarily. The blow to the head came head-to-head kind of off to the side. This is, you know what, this is a tough crew, boy. You can't, those 3 personal fouls have been pretty close, I think.
On 1st and 10, Pinkins out of the pocket. Wide open in LSU territory is the wideout Corey Taylor out of Decatur, Georgia. Pickup of 15. Let's go to Matt Weiner right now.
Jeff, Notre Dame and Air Force over on ESPN, and we have a score. Carl Holiday trying to make something happen. Hit, it coughs it up right into the hands of Marcello Grady. He'll take it in for the score. Air Force's 16th turnover in their last 5 games. They're up 7-0.
That's a second fumble, Matt, that he's had. I wonder about his shoulder. Don't you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Wonder whether or not that's 100%.
That's right. It's a great point. 1st and 10.
Well, that's why I'm the analyst, Doug.
Up top, Pinkins, and it's incomplete. Sunday night, 9 o'clock on ESPN. Catch 2 episodes of ESPN's hit reality series, Beg, Borrow, and Deal. While Team Kobe is challenging the NHL, Team Contact tries NASCAR. Then at 10, Team Kobe looks to America's pastime. Meanwhile, Team Contact is on Tobacco Road. Beg, Borrow, and Deal, presented by Miller Lite, Sunday at 9 Eastern on ESPN. And a reminder that Lou Holtz's post-game press conference can be seen on ESPN News. You can hear what Lou thinks of LSU. I think it's a team that deserves to be in the top 10. How about you?
Well, it does. I mean, think about this at halftime. We're talking about, they got 212 yards. Look at that. The defense isn't that great. Since that time, they've had 31 yards in the entire second half.
Pickett's going long, and it is incomplete. Corey Webster. Pretty good defense out there on Corey Taylor, the wideout.
Well, based on what happened around the nation, it's conceivable they could sneak into the top 10.
Well, you take a look at this defense and how opportune they are in terms of finding turnovers, and the ability to cut down on the mistakes. And this quarterback they have tonight, Marcus Randall, has been impressive.
And let's not forget the adjustments that they made at halftime for the running game with South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. Randall 12 for 23, 185 yards tonight for LSU. On 2nd and 15, Pinkins, it is complete. Underneath, and the catch is made. Gain of 7. Sports Center coming up next. Game 1 from Anaheim, the World Series against the Giants. An update on the Rally Monkey. Ducks getting troubled by the Devils. Some of the stories straight ahead. 3rd and 9. Pinkins, and it is complete. Catch is made by Corey Taylor, and Taylor thumped out of bounds with 3 seconds left in the ballgame. Lejeune is there, the strong safety. It's a gain of 24 yards.
That'll give Pinkins one more shot at the end zone. You know, for not being as good a runner, he showed good feet there, scrambling to the outside, buying time till he could put the ball right on the money.
Up next for South Carolina is Tennessee and then Arkansas, both at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, and then at Florida and Clemson to wind up the season. Quarterback controversy perhaps in Columbia between Jenkins and Pinkins?
Come on.
Jenkins 5 for 12, 65 yards tonight. Here's Bankins. Pumps, throws, and it is incomplete. That's your ball game. That is it. All LSU and Nick Saban tonight. They put on the rally caps here in Baton Rouge against South Carolina. Up next is SportsCenter. For postgame coverage, turn to ESPN News. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Todd Christensen, Stacey Pates, and our entire ESPN2 crew, I'm Jeff Hellinger. For summaries and stats of this game, log on to ESPN.com. Your home for college football on the internet. 38-14 LSU.